Okay, so good evening, guys. Welcome back. We will continue with our session, and today is day 7 session, and the date is 17th of your October 2025, and the timing is evening 9:04 p.m. IST. So thank you guys for joining this session. So we'll continue with our Linux. We'll continue with the Linux. So guys, in the last session, if you have attended the last session, so what we covered, basically we covered about what is user space and the kernel space, right? Because during boot process, the whole RAM memory or your primary memory, we say it gets divided into two spaces, user space and the kernel space. And basically, there are two important emails are the one is VMLANS image and another is initard image. Both will get loaded into the memory during boot process. And who loads that two images? Your bootloader, which is nothing but the grub bootloader, that loads these two images into the memory, right? Once the image is loaded, basically this image is in a compressed form. So when it is getting loaded, there are so many other processes happen in the backend. And finally, what happened? The images will get uncompressed actually. So once it gets uncompressed, it means that you are actually getting an operating system. Once the uncompression happens, soon what happened? So many initialization of kernel happens because there are so many subsystems are in the Linux kernel, right? Like process management, memory management, device management, and there are so many other algorithms are there, tables are there, right? So many tables are there, algorithms are there. All will get initialized when the uncompression is happening. So as soon as the VM liners get uncompressed, you will see that so many services will get started. Finally, what happened? Your Linux kernel will be up and running. And in the user space, initard image will also be expanded or it will be extracted. And you will see that the kernel is going to create the first process, and that is nothing but an init process. Init is a first process. Later, so many other processes will get created. All those are child process of that init itself. Init is a main father of all the process which is running in a system. Now, there is some confusion people have. Yeah, I'll come to that now. Whatever I want to tell, I'll come in some time. And again, like what we discussed type of kernels and all, right? And then like we also seen how to log into the machine one more time. And some of the troubleshooting aspect, we also try to make a note of it. Like when you are not able to log in into the Linux server, how to do a initial troubleshooting. Apart from this, there are few other troubleshooting steps are there, which I will discuss it. Okay. Now, so what I was trying to say that uh, the first process will get created is init process. Now, the thing is, guys, so the thing is that here you have this whole RAM memory given to two space, user space and the kernel space. And this is kernel space, right? And here what happened, right? Basically, you will get your operating system or the kernel up and running. Your kernel will come up, and here what happened? The user space, here what happened, right? Your file system will get extracted. So basically, you're going to get the root file system, right? So the root file system, you're going to get it actually. Now it, and here in the same user space only, what happened? The user will also log in. Say for example, in our case, if you know that when I want to log in into under the Ubuntu, I have to give the username as Ubuntu itself, right? So when I log in as Ubuntu, so Ubuntu will log in. So Ubuntu user will be there in the user space only. Tomorrow, if I create a new account, something like Ravi or Rajesh, whatever might be, so that Ravi or Rajesh, whatever the username is there, he will also will be logging under the user space only, right? So now in between the user space and the kernel space, we saw that a shell will get created like this, like this. A shell will get created, right? This is nothing but your bash shell. So bash shell is a default shell in Linux operating system, right? Now, what I was trying to say, one more thing is that the first process which get created is a init process only. So where that is running, sir, that's all running everything user space only, man. Init process. First process. This is the first process will get created in Linux machine or in Unix. So guys, we are not discussing anything about the Unix because Unix is a very old operating system. Okay, we need not to really worry about now. Okay, if you ask me, is any Unix operating system is still used in the in any industry? No, guys. Unix is almost obsolete. There are no companies using Linux, sorry, Unix. So you need not to worry about what is Unix operating system and all. But it was like a Linux only, because Linux, when it was designed by Linus Torvalds, he just tried to take a complete idea of the from the Unix only. So you can say Linux is like a clone of Unix operating system. It's ditto like a Unix operating system, but with some enhanced feature. Am I clear, sir? Now, so first process is init process. Later, all other process, guys, whatever the processes are getting created in the machine or in the server or in the operating system, all these are child process, we say. So these have, so init process is the first process. Later, all other processes, whatever the processes which are getting created in the system is called, all these we called as a child process of init only. Child processes of init. Right. Now, the thing is that actually, guys, all this process, whatever you're running, we call it as a just like a simple process only. We say we call with the name as a process, or even we can call it as a user space process. You can even say user space processes, but actually we don't say user space process. We just say process itself. In the organization also, we never say a user space process. We never say that. We'll just say it's a process only. So process, what you can understand, okay, process is something which is actually running in user space, right? And each and every process will have some resource allocated for every process. For every process, some resource allocated. It means that every process, it needs some kind of a time to execute. It had some memory, some CPU cycle will be allocated. Okay, that what are the CPU cycle, we call it as a scheduling time, we say. We call it as a scheduling time. Okay, because of scheduling time. So every process, guys, will be there, and you'll also try to hear many other types of processes. Like for example, you might hear something known as a daemon process. We will discuss all these things later. You will try to hear something like a zombie process. You will also hear something like an orphan process. These are certain types of processes are there in system. We need not to worry, but we will discuss all these things in our upcoming sessions. Okay. All these are different types of processes we are having it. So some process might be a daemon process which is running in a system. Some process might be a zombie process. Some process might be a orphan process. Many process will be in a stopped state. They are currently not running because it's a stop state. Many process are in a running state. Many process are in a dead state. Okay. And many process are in a sleeping state. These are the different states of a process. Again, we will discuss all these things later. Don't worry. So now what I'm trying to say that whenever we talk about anything in the process level, like, okay, we say, okay, there are so many processes which are running, man, you have to consider straight away that those process all are user space process only. But what about in the kernel actually? Does kernel also has a kernel processes? Yes, sir. Kernel also has its own kernel process also. Here, there are so many processes which are running in a kernel space actually. So Rajesh, do you have any access to this process or do you have any control to this process? No, guys, we don't have a control because kernel itself will create that process and kernel itself will destroy it when it doesn't need it actually. So these we call it as a kernel process, or predominantly what in organization they call it as a kernel threads. What is it? They call it as a kernel threads. Some people even call it as a kernel process also. No problem. Some people they call it as a tasks also, tasks. So all are one of the same. If you hear this word terminology, task, kernel threads or kernel processes, all are one of the same. If you hear just say process or user space process, all are one of the same. So these two processes differs, guys, because this process running user space and this process running the kernel space. But as we are end user, right? We never deal with this kernel process or kernel threads. We always deal with the user space process only because we have a control on that. We can even make the process to be killed, make the process to be stopped. Okay, suppose in case if we want to pass any parameter, we want to pass any signal to this process, we can do all such things because we have a control user space process. As soon as the kernel comes into the picture, because it is a kernel space, we don't have any control over that. Because kernel, why we don't have a control that we are not being provided an access to this kernel space. Even the root user, who's a user, right? He don't have an access to touch any of the things in space because this user, sorry, in this kernel space, because this kernel space or the kernel process or the kernel is running in a protective mode, we say. We call this as a protective mode. Okay, whereas a user space process, yeah, of course, we have a control to all this process and all. We can do anything. So we call it as an unprotected mode, because user space process, it is not such that much safe. You can do anything what you need, because you have a control over that, and you can even manipulate according to requirement. Whereas in kernel space, you cannot touch any of the kernel. You cannot even tamper the kernel data structure, because all this whatever it is running in the kernel space is in a protected mode actually. Am I clear? So now, why we need these processes? Basically, we want to achieve some task, or we want to run some application or the program. We need these processes. So processes are getting created in the system. Okay, who creates it? Again, the kernel creates it. Now the question comes, Rajesh, who is going to create this user space process? The kernel itself will create the user space process. Okay, who creates the kernel process, kernel threads? The kernel itself will create it. So whatever the process collectively you talk about, either it's a user space process or kernel space process or kernel threads, whatever you say, who are then who creates all these things, who manage all this process, everything, creation of the processes, managing of the processes, having intercommunication between two processes, right? Scheduling of the process, all the things is taken care by your kernel only. Right? Within the kernel, there is one subsystem is there known as a process management. There is a subsystem by name process management. And also one of the subsystem is there known as a process scheduler. These are the two part guys which will take care of managing all the processes. Managing all the processes. Am I clear, sir? Okay. So process management will take care of creation of the process, having intercommunication between two different processes, or schedule, or making the process to be killed, terminate, all operation, whatever you want to do onto the process, the process management will take care. The process scheduler is something which schedules the process, right? Every process, every process has the scheduling time, we say. It has a scheduling time. Usually what happens for every process, what the scheduler will do, it will give a 10 millisecond time slice. So we even call it as time slice. Okay, usually 10 millisecond in Linux actually, right? 10 millisecond will be given for you. And who does it? The process scheduler will do. The process scheduler is the one which gives this time slice for every newly created process. As soon as a process will get created, okay, take this 10 millisecond, means that you will get a time to run for 10 millisecond. So who will run the process? Your CPU is going to execute the process, right? So your kernel will create it, but finally the process has to get run, right? Who runs or who executes the process? Obviously your CPU. So CPU, for CPU, what happened? You need a CPU time slice, or we need this time slice, right? With this time slice, and this time slice is given by the process scheduler, and the process will start running it actually. The process will start executing it in the system, right? So every process guys will have its own time slice. If any process, if there is no time slice, it means that what the process scheduler will do, it will reschedule the time slice, and again 10 more millisecond will be added to it. Suppose assume that you are running a process, like to achieve some execution of task. If the task is taking more and more time, it cannot complete in 10 milliseconds, then what schedule will do, schedule is going to give some more time, some to. So until and unless it doesn't complete its completion of the execution of the task, right, the schedule will keep scheduling a time slice for that process actually. And guys, there are so many schedulers are there in Linux actually, right? Schedulers are there. A lot of scheduler different schedulers are there. We need not to really worry about different schedulers are available in Linux kernel. But most famous people have used is nothing but the priority based preemptive scheduler. Priority based preemptive scheduler. This is one thing which is used actually. A recent one I heard that are using some new this one scheduler. If you see that latest scheduler used in Linux kernel. CFS, I think. CFS is a scheduler which is used actually. CFS scheduler. Completely fair scheduler, we say. CFS. Completely fair scheduler. This is the scheduler, guys, which is actually used now in the Linux kernel. So that is what they are saying it actually. CFS scheduler is which used. This one is also used. CFS scheduler is also used actually. Okay, so schedule plays a very vital role, guys, because it always manages all the processes. Okay, it's going to always check whether any process, its time slice has been exhausted or not. If it is exhausted, it checks the status of it, or it's understand, okay, still it has some more execution. Then what happens? It will reschedule the time for that process. As soon as the process is about to get execute, it completes, schedule will check that, okay, the process is about to get complete. I need not to reschedule it, or I need not to give any scheduling time at all. So what happened? Ultimately, the process will complete task and it'll get killed or it'll get terminated. So scheduler plays a very, very vital role, guys, in managing all these processes, because you need to manage all this process. It means that you need to make sure that each and every process will get some ample time to be executed. And that ample time is not but time slice or not but CPU cycles, we say. We call it as a CPU cycles. So every process will get a CPU cycles. Now, as I said, right, whenever a process should get created, process created, will get created, will get created. Okay, every process will have the PID. We call it as a process identification number. Every process will have a PID. Every process will get some memory. Okay, we call that as a virtual memory. Every process will get a CPU time slice. And every process will also get the information about under which directory the process will run. So like that, there are so many information are there, guys, for each and every processes. Okay. So how you can go through all those information about each and every processes? You have a command known as a ps-aux. This is one command is there through which you can get all the information. And also what happened, right? There is a one directory there by name proc. Under the proc, there is you have to go to the PID number, and under that PID number, guys, you will get all the information about that process. It means that what is the memory which is allocated, what is the CPU cycle it is allocated, what are the environment variable which are assigned to it, which is the scheduling algorithm which is used, which are the pending signals where every process will have it actually. Right. So now what happened, guys, when you talk about this process and all, right, we might have heard about many things in our engineering days. I'm sure that some of you uh, have uh, have completed your engineering or whatever the masters, everything in the computer science, right? So you might have heard about something like, for example, process is a running instance of a program in memory. We call it as a process, or program in execution. We call it as a process. So whenever you want to run any application, right, you can run that application with the help of a process only. So as soon as suppose I run some application, I run an e-commerce application. Some application I'm running, like e-com application I'm running. So usually what happened, the Linux kernel or nothing but your Linux kernel or nothing but just kernel is going to create a process for it actually. Without a process, you cannot execute any command or any task or any application at all. A process has to be there. And every process will get some resources. Who will allocate this resource, guys? Again, the kernel only will allocate that resources, because every process will need some resources, right? Without a resource, the process cannot run at all, right? So kernel is going to allocate the process resources for each and every process. And again, kernel is the one which is going to allocate a PID number for each process. It means that each and every process will have some unique number. We call it as a process identifier, or we call it as a process identification number. Both are same. I can even call it a process identifier or process identifier or process identification number. Right? There are so many informations are there which each and every process will do. Now, according to the computer science, according to the operating system concept, if you read the book operating system concept by a person by name what's his name, man? Uh, there are many authors are there, but I was just trying to understand about one author who had written operating system concept actually. I've forgotten the book. Galvin is there, is there, fine. I was trying to go through one more book actually, which is a fantastic book actually. This is a Wiley publication. This is Peter Galvin is also good guy. One more was there, guys. I've forgotten that book actually. Uh, Andy Tannenbaum is there. This is also good actually. But I mean, I'm not asking you to read these books, guys. But okay, I've forgotten that book actually. What is it? If I search, I'll get it. But Brain Cunningham is all there. That is a book actually. So in that book, what they have given, right? Every process, okay, each process has some segments, we say. So what are those? Each segment, each process has some segments. What are those process segment? Text segment, data segment. We need not to worry that much. Stack segment, heap segment, heap segment. Then environment variables and some pending signals like this. So you could see that whenever a process is getting created by the kernel, assume that this is a process. Okay, this process. What is this process made up of, Rajesh? If you ask me, these are the five things, or five to six, or more than this. These are all the things which are there in each and every process. If you take this diagram like this, and if I try to just highlight this, what each and every process will have like this, right? So you can just think over that. All this process will have all this information. It has text segment, data segment, stack segment, heap segment, environment variable, pending signal. So many informations will be there in each and every process. Your process is made up of text segment, data segment, stack segment, heap segment, and environment variable, pending signal, and many other resources are there. Even much beyond that, what I've mentioned. So many are there. So Rajesh, all this information, where I can get all this information, you can see under the proc file system. Under that, you need to provide the PID of the number. Under that, you will find all this information, whatever you have mentioned. So this is one of the way to just dig into each and every process status, what process possesses, what are the different resources allocated to the process by peeping or by going through this path actually. By going through a proc file system and give the PID of the process, you will get to know all the information. Am I clear, sir, till here? So now, so every process will have a unique ID, unique identifier number, we call it PID. Okay, without a PID, the process cannot run at all. The process will not get created because always during creation time, the process getting created means at that time it has to allocate a PID number. Am I clear, sir? So now let us log into our machine, guys. So if you see my instance, this is my Ubuntu server. Copy it. Okay, and just copy the public IP, guys. Copy the public IP. So what I will do, I will go to the terminal, do a right click, run as an administrator. Yeah. Go to the download folders where I have that my EC2 dot instance, or I'll do ss -i EC2, or sorry, batch 2. Sorry, batch 2 dot pem space Ubuntu at the rate, give the public IP address, whatever you copied. So I'll say S. So you could see that you have logged into the machine. Now, as I said, right, whenever you want to check any processes which are running a system, we can execute a command, ps command. If you just execute ps command, it will show you that currently in your system, there are two processors which are running. One is a PS and other is a bash shell. And the bash PID is 1223, and the PS command which you recently executed, that has a PID 1269. Am I clear, sir? So now if you want to check all the processes, then I'll say PS-AUX like this. If I say enter, can you see that these are all the processes which are running in your system? But if you observe carefully, guys, can you see the first process is a init process, slash bin slash init is init process, and the PID of that init process is always 1. PID. And you could see that what is the CPU cycle which is allocated percentage, memory it is allocated, virtual memory it is allocated, in which terminal it is running, what is the uh, statistical information, when did it started, how much time it is taking. You will get all this information, everything in a ps-ax. AUX command actually. So this is a very good command, guys. We will be going through this command very in detail. Okay. So here what happened, first column will give you the user, from which user you are running that process. That's the username will given. Second column is nothing but the PID of that process, or nothing but the, or if the process or whatever. That's the PID of the process. Percent of CPU allocated, percent of memory is allocated. Okay. Virtual size memory. Okay, and then like under which terminal it is running, what is the statistical information about every process, and here the start time, okay, when it was started, and the command name. So you can see that so many information you will get from the ps-aux command. There are so many other options are there. I will discuss about this later. PS command, right? I will discuss many of the options, guys. Here I'm just showing AUX, right? But there are many other options are also available, so that it will give a flexible to the end user, saying that, okay, he, whatever the way he wants the output, right, he can get it with the help of the command line option, we say. Now, guys, whenever we are executing any command in Linux, right? For example, if I'm running a command, something like, if I say ls command, if I say ls and enter, it will show me all the files and data which are there in the current working directory. Since I just logged in into this new machine, I don't have any content here. That's why if I say ls, nothing it is displaying. Suppose if I want to create some file. So don't worry now. Let me use some touch command, touch Alice, Bob, John. Enter. I'm creating some 3 files. I'll use mkdir. I'll just say Ravi, Raju, Mahesh. So I'm creating some 3 directories. So I've created some 3 directories by using touch command. Sorry, I'm created some 3 files by using touch command, and I'm creating some 3 folders, or we call it a directory, by using mkdir command. And say enter. Can you say ls now? Can you see there are 3 files which are in white color, and there are some 3 files which are in a blue color has been created. This blue color always it represents it's a folder or it's a directory. The white file will always represent that it is a normal file. Like that, you have to understand. Whenever you see any file which is in a white color, it is a normal file or it's a regular file. Okay, whenever you create whenever you see the file type as a blue color, or it is a directory. Or we call in English, in Windows, we call it a folder, right? Okay, it's a folder. Like that, you have to understand. With the help of a coloring effect also, you will be able to understand what type of file it is. Am I clear, sir?
Rajesh,
Yes, sir.
what exactly the difference between PS-AUX and HTOP?
H topper. H we'll discuss,
Yes,
sir. It's a top command, sir. Actually, top command will give the real time information. Means real
yes,
time
yes.
means,
But
yeah. What is
PS-AUX also giving the same thing, right?
No, it will just this will automatically keep, it will occupy your entire terminal, and it will see that, you will see that what is the memory is allocated. It will show you the real time update about every process. But PSAOX will give only a snapshot of it. That's all. It will
Snapshot.
not,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
it will not give you the real time what is going on. Here you could see that it is continuously updating. Okay, you could see that the like priority has been changed. Okay, some processes which are running now, the process has gone down. Other processes are running. Like that, you will get the real time. So whenever you
Yes,
want, whenever you suppose, for example, whenever you are doing some kind of a load and performance testing, suppose some team is doing load and performance testing, and you being a DevOps engineer, you have been told, Krishna, please, can you please tell us the status of the CPU and the memory of that process man which is running. So you have to always run a htop command or just a top command. So now what happened? You'll be monitoring this thing. Or you will say that, okay, now the process is using 50%, 60%. Okay, now the memory is this much. So you will get the real-time data, sir, like
yes.
that. Okay. Fine. So guys, when I execute a stop command, it is showing you the same thing. Okay, it shows you all the process and so many information to show you, right? And whenever you want to come out from that, you have to press Control C. When you do a Control C, it will come out. Let me execute one more time. Stop, enter, and I'll say Control C. I will come out from that execution. I'll come out from that execution. So it means that you want to literally kill that or you want to stop it or whatever, you have to just say Control C. It's not like stop. You want to just terminate that execution of that command. You have to just say Control C.
Rajesh,
Yes, sir.
one small doubt.
Yeah.
So, what is the exact difference between H-top and A-top?
Yeah, we'll discuss all those things, sir. It is a upcoming sessions, all those things. Don't worry.
Okay,
See,
okay,
all
okay.
the some of the things, guys, some of the questions are very, very valid questions. You will ask then and there itself. It is good that you ask me. But some questions, what I will do that I will say, don't worry, guys, it will going to come anyhow. We have to discuss that in some time. Some questions I feel like okay, I have to answer now only so that you will understand. Then and there itself, I'll answer it. So it's something like where I will try to understand, okay, certain things are there which anyhow it will come. If I tell also, maybe you might not completely understand it. At that time, when we cover all those things, when it comes right, then you will understand everything. So some of the things are there, let it come on the way. When we are learning, right, it will come on the way. If you ask me the doubt before also, it is good, well and good only. Because I will keep a note, everything in my mind. Okay, Krishna has asked this question, okay. And I told him that, okay, in the upcoming session will come. So whenever it come appropriately, I will going to explain more and more about that actually. Right. So for everything, time has to come. Fine. Now, good. Now, apart from all these things, sir, like if you remember in day before yesterday, I executed one command, was echo dollar shell. Do you remember? If I execute echo dollar capital SHELL, enter, it will show that it's a slash bin slash bash. It means that right now you are under the bash shell. It means that when you log in into the machine, you by default, you will get a bash shell only. Now the question comes, Rajesh, when I logged into this, I got this is a bash shell where I'm executing all the commands. So whatever the command you executed, are you sitting on the shell and running? Yes, sir. You're sitting on the shell and running. Okay. So it means that if you go to this diagram, Rajesh, this is a bash shell. So as soon as the Ubuntu user logged in, does he gets a shell? Yes, sir. This is how he gets it. Like that, he will get the shell like this. This is nothing but your bash shell. Literally what happened, this Ubuntu user, he will be sitting on this shell only. He will be sitting on this shell only. He'll be sitting on this shell and he will be working. Am I clear, sir? He'll be sitting on the shell working. So now, okay, I get the shell. So as soon as you log in and this user gets some shell actually, this is a default shell, whatever the system provides you, you got that shell actually. And also what happened, what the Linux kernel will do that this shell will be using some terminal. What is it? It will be using some terminal. So every process, guys, whenever it is running, it has to be attached to some terminal, right? In Linux, there are so many terminals are there, right? There are so many terminals are there. In Linux, there are so many terminals. But broadly, many of the terminals are categorized as something like a character device terminal, and one more is a block device terminal. We need not to worry about all these things. I'm just telling you, right? But okay, 99% of the terminals are character device terminals. Okay. So and they are represented with this naming convention like slash dev tty1 slash dev tty2. Again, I'm saying don't worry now. All these things were going to come in a near future. Some okay. Some people might say, Sir Rajesh, I'm going to get like this. PTS slash 0 slash dev PTS slash 1 slash 2 slash 3 slash 4 like that. So now the question comes, Rajesh, all these things what are saying are those are terminals or are those whatever you are mentioning are the character device terminals? Yes, sir. All these are character device terminals or just a terminals. For every shell, you will get a terminal attached to it. How do you check it out? On which terminal you are running under? If I execute a command TTY and say enter, can you see slash dev slash PTS slash 0? Yeah, this is a terminal. Suppose I'll open one more terminal like this. One more terminal, same command I will run like this to log into it. So this is one more terminal. Okay, sorry. I have to be in on the downloads, and again I run this command. So you log in. So here also you're logged into the same machine. Here also you're logged into the same machine, but it is a different terminal. If I execute a command tty, can you see /dev/pts/0? So you open n number of terminals, it will be keep giving the name convention like /dev/pts2, pts3, pts4, like that. How much 4096 terminals you can open? It's a huge actually. Who will log in so many? But in the real time, a lot of people log in it. But I'm just saying that it give you more than 406 terminals. So the value is very big actually. So it means that Rajesh, for every user session, you have to say that for every login session or every user account, for every user login session, for login, every session is identified by its own terminal name. So, and always the terminal name starts with /dev/pts/0/1, or sometime you'll say /dev/tty1, tty2, tty3, tty4, tty5, tty6, tty7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 254, 255, 256. Like that, you will be keep getting the numbers. So, as I said, right, guys, for every process, there is a terminal attached to it. And even every terminal has some terminal name. And you will get the terminal name with the help of a tty command. So guys, till here, do you have any doubts? Suket,
Every
Mahesh?
every processor has a hello.
Yeah, yeah, good.
Every process has a terminal.
Every login has a terminal. As soon as you log in into some terminal, right? Here I'm using the Windows terminal to log into the Linux machine, right? As soon as you log in, you are logging with some username. Here in this case, I'm logging with the Ubuntu username, right? As soon as you log in, Ubuntu will get its own shell, as well as it also gets a terminal also. And every terminal has a terminal number. And bash shell is associated with some terminal always. Is it fine?
Yes. Yes.
Any question you have, any doubts? I think you are still not satisfied.
No, no, I'm sorry.
Very good, very good. No, I was just kidding, man. Okay, fine. So that is how it is actually. Okay, now good. So this is all about the process, which I told in a very high level. We will rediscuss again this process and all everything in our upcoming sessions, because we have a different types of processes, how to check the process, how to increase the priority of the process, what is nice value. So many other informations are there which we have to discuss. What is this priority? How to increase or decrease the priority of the processes? Some with help of a nice value, we say, nicer, we say. Okay. Fine. Now, and as I said, right, every process, how you define a process? Process is nothing but it is a running instance of a program in memory. We call it as a process, or a program in execution. We call it as a process. And every process is made up of segments like text segment, data segment, stack segment, heap segment, N1 variable, pending signals. There are so many other informations are there in each and every process, right? Now, for example, just see what I'm doing. Don't worry. Right? For example, if I want to run some process continuously. See, guys, one more thing I want to tell you. Suppose whenever you execute any command, if I say ls command and say enter, ls command will list out all the files and directories in the present working directory. Okay. So what I'm saying that it will display all the files and directories in the present working directory. It is something like in Windows. Here, if you open a terminal, this is the PowerShell actually. If I want to display all the files and directories, Rajesh, how do you do in Windows? In the PowerShell, we execute the dir command.
LL.
Same thing. Yeah, ll. It will not work here. Here it will work in Linux. In Linux, it will work ll, long listing. We can either execute the ls command, ll command. Even here, you can even execute a dir command also. But dir command will not show in the colors. See, here it is showing everything. You cannot distinguish which is the folder, which is the directory. Sorry, which is the folder, which is the file. Here you can distinguish, okay, white color is always files, Rajesh, but whereas a blue color is always a directory. But dir command is a Windows command, but still it is working on Linux because they are given, okay, fine. Somebody has written this dir, but you want to display in the color, then you have to say dir -fn color. Now it will show in color. So now what I'm trying to tell that whenever you execute either any of this command, ls command, ll command, or I can say ls-l command, any of the command when you execute, or dir command, or with the dir of NFN colors, it is going to show you all the files and data in the present working directory. It means that right now, Rajesh, where I'm sitting and I'm working, if I execute a command pwd will show you the current working directory. I am under /home Ubuntu. So under /home Ubuntu, if I say ls, what are all the files and directories are there? Please display it. So ls command is displaying all those files and directories under /home Ubuntu. So this is nothing but your absolute path. So absolute path means under which folder you are working. Am I clear, sir? Okay, good. So now, okay, that's all about a few of the things which I said, like ls command. So when we are executing this commands, ls command, when I execute this ls command has executed successfully. It has executed successfully. It has even shown the output. So it means that as soon as I say ls and say enter, the Linux kernel has already created a process. That process has executed and the process has given an output. These are files and directories, and the process has got killed on everything. Everything what happened, right? In a very short, in a fraction of second, in a fraction of or in just nanosecond, all the tasks got complete. Means that it displays all your files and data and executed. So when I say ls and enter, it has complete task. When I execute tty enter, it has shown the output of the terminal which you are working under, and it has immediately exited. It means that, guys, whenever we are running any application or any command, a process has to get created, and the process will get immediately will get killed as soon as it's completed task, because there is no point in running the process, right? Do you think that you have to allow the process to run forever in the background? No, not required. You have executed certain task or some application or some command, it has to immediately execute it, complete the execution, show the output, and it should get terminated. That will be the nature always, right? Even we human, right? We come to this life, we do some karma and all, and we leave this body and we go away, right? We'll die and we'll go. Same thing, process also will get created, it goes under various stages, and finally the process will get terminated or get killed and it get exited out, right? So now you say that, Rajesh, I want to run some process for some time. It should be keep running. Is there any way to run it? Yes, there is a command that else. If I say hello, can you see that this process is continuously running? Yeah, continuous learning. If I go to the other terminal, if I just execute a command, so you could see that in this terminal, the process is running, guys. And in this terminal, I'll just execute a command psx or ps-ex. Can you see here? Yes, hello. It is still running and the PID is 1437. Now, guys, don't worry. What I'm doing, just see. I'll just say cd to / and say enter ls. Can you see something as a proc file system? This is a proc directory, or we call it a proc file system. If you remember in the notes, as I said, right, you will get all the information about the process and everything, even through the proc file system also. Somewhere I've written, right? Uh, Somewhere I've written. I think I've forgotten, or else I've not written, but you will be able to see it either through the psx command or even through the proc file system also. Right now, if I go to the proc directory, cd to the proc and say enter and say ls, can you see that PID? What is the PID? 14. What is it, guys? 14. I missed to note down. PID of this SLO 1437. 1437. If I do under the proc, if I execute a PWD, you could see that I am under the proc. So PWD command will show the current working directory where you're working. Earlier, what happened when I executed this command PWD, it was showing /home /Ubuntu. Now I'm going to the CD to the / enter and say ls. Now I'll go to the proc, CD to the proc. Now if I execute PWD, it will show me that I'm under the /proc directory. Now, if I see it 1437, now if I execute ls, can you see somewhere number 1437? Can you see here this number? Yeah, cd to 1437, enter and say ls. Can you see, guys? These are all the information about the process which I was saying. Every process, as I said, right, it has some memories given to that process. PID is given to the process. right? Some terminal is given to the process. Some CPU cycle is given to the process. Many of the resources will be given for each and every, some environment variables are given for the process. Some pending signals are already available for the process to execute. So many informations are there, guys, where I will get through a proc file system. I'll get all this information. See, you will get what is the scheduling stack which is given for it, what is the memory which is given for that, which are the memory maps which is given for it, what are the IO operation that process will do, right? What are the environment variables given for that, what is the file descriptor which is given for each and every process, what is the command line, and what process it is running. It is actually running a yes hello program, right? If you see it here, yes hello is running. If I do a cat to the, if I just execute the cat command to the CMD line, can you see it is showing yes hello. So what I'm trying to say that, guys, this proc is, it will show you some of the very important information about each and every processes and what are all the different resources allotted for each and every process. Most of the information you will get through proc file system. Why we have this is because, guys, in some time later in the near future, if there is some issues there, you can debug to a certain extent by getting into the proc directory and going and debugging that process, or checking or verifying certain values in the process. Just check what is the state of the process. You can even go to the proc file system. What is this proc file system, Rajesh? We will discuss when I come to the file system, guys. Don't worry now. Okay, proc file system is one of the way where you can see all the information about the kernel itself. Whatever the kernel is doing the task, or it is executing some operations, you can peep everything. You can go through it and you can understand through the proc file system. You remember, like in even I am not sure if even if you go to your native place, if you go to the village side, right, you would have seen that actually a lot of people when they construct home, right, at the top of the house, right, what they'll do, they will make a small hole in that they'll fit the glass. Why they will they'll fit the glass? Because that in the morning time what happened, the light enters in through that glass and it will come. Usually what they do, basically they will try to fit that glass below the kitchen, actually, because in the kitchen when the women start cooking, right, a lot of no fresh light comes, or the sunlight comes, right? But if you go at the top, suppose if your kid go to the top of the home, and if you want to see what my mother is doing in the kitchen, he can peep into the glass. He can see, right, her mom is doing some cooking, right? It's something like that. That glass is something like a proc file system. If you go at the top, if a user space process, if he is under user space process, he want to peep and he want to see what kernel is doing now, he can actually peep and look into the proc file system. Proc file system will give the latest information or latest execution what kernel is doing now. So very important, proc file system is very, very important, guys, because most of the time we also do a lot of debugging, troubleshooting with the help of a proc file system also. Okay, fine, guys. Good. Now, okay, fine. Any questions so far, guys? Till here? No? Okay. Now, one thing I missed out.
Rajesh sir, like one doubt, like is this like what you said, procs, like proc, like it is same like log files, like is it same,
No,
like
no,
checking
log file. No, no, log is
everything?
different. Yeah, log is different. Proc is different. Proc will give the real-time data, information about what kernel is doing right of now, what instructions kernel is executing. That you will get to the proc system. Proc is a special file system, we'll say. It's a special file system. So in Linux, guys, there are two types of special file systems are there. One is a proc and other is a sys. What is a sys and all, you will come to know later. If you go here in the terminal and say, if you do cd2/enter and say ls, can you see there is something like a sys directory? Sys and proc, these two are special file system. These are special file system.
cat proc mem info, cat proc CPU info.
Yeah, correct.
Like we can find the updated status of the server, right?
Right. Anything, sir. Suppose tomorrow you go and you plug in a new processor. As soon as you plug in, the proc will show the latest updated one. You have plugged in any new device, right? It will detect and the entry will be come under the proc actually. Proc is a pseudo file system, right? Proc, what happened, right? Proc is not mounted to any of the disk. Proc, it will always mounted onto the memory, we say, proc file system. File system. See, usually when we have a file system, whenever you want to do any operation on file system, the file system has to be mounted onto some disk, or it has to be mounted to onto some mount point, we say, or nothing but mount address, we say. But proc file system is something which is not mounted onto the disk actually. It is mounted onto the memory. Whatever the memory information there, that proc is actually showing you like that. We will discuss about this proc file system and sys when we come to the file system class actually. When I discuss something on file system, some interesting aspects are there which I'll be discussing under the for the sys and for the proc. Because proc is the one which was managing everything. Suppose you want to check about the devices, okay, some device identifiers or something like we call it as a major number, minor number. What are the devices? What are the IR queues, interrupt request queues? So many informations are there. All those information earlier, guys, was part of the proc only. Was part of the proc only. Because it was managing so many things. What people this the people distributor people there like let us separate one more folder in the sys actually. Okay, there what happened? This will try to maintain all the information about the devices we say, right? Devices and device drivers and related to that, all those they have segregated from the proc. Now proc doesn't have all this information. Earlier, long back, 5-6 years back, there was no sys directory was there. Only proc used to be there. Proc has all the information. It has every information about the kernel, devices, interrupts, lot of different tables informations. Okay, information about the process, system information, everything was there under the proc. Now they segregate into two things actually. That's all. It means that just divide the work of proc into another folder which is sys actually. That's all. No other thing. I know some of you are not able to completely grasp or understand, or some people are a little bit confused, or you might think, okay, Rajesh is saying something which you are not understanding. Don't worry. I'm not expecting that you should know everything as of now. Whatever I discuss, you just hear to certain extent. If you understand, well and good. If you're not understanding, no problem. We will come back again, the same thing, so that we will learn this in a better way. Okay. Now, okay, guys. Now, we just started with this process today and try to understand about the process and all. 1 or 2 commands we executed, guys. Right now, the question comes, Rajesh, what is this command is all about? So you're executing some commands. Fine, that's good only. So we execute some commands, but what is this command is all about, guys? What is this command? Command is basically it's an executable file or it's an executable program. It's an executable program. Now, in Linux or in Unix or any of the Linux-based operating system, what they do that to achieve certain task, to execute certain task, what the developers have did, right? Developers have written the commands actually. They have written the commands and they have given some permission to execute that commands, and they have made the commands to be placed under some uh, default folders or default directory, we say. Like in Linux or in Unix, there are some commands are there which are there under the /usr bin directory. There are some commands are there which are there in /usr bin directory. There are some commands are there which are there in the bin directory. There are some commands are there which are there in bin directory. These are all the different folder structures are there. We will discuss all these things in some time now. So all the commands, they will place under this path itself. They will keep under this path itself. And this command will do certain task for you. Like for example, as I said now, whenever I want to execute, I want to check all the files. Or what I will do, I'll just say ls and say enter. So ls is basically, it's a command, right? It's a command. And that command, what it will do that, it only does a very simple basic operation too. It will display all the files and directories, which is in the present directory. That's all. It doesn't do any other thing. So command, what is ls means? It is an executable command. Now the question comes, who has written this command, Rajesh? Some developer has written the command. Okay, fine. In which language they've written? So almost 100% of all the commands, they have written in C language. So Rajesh, whatever the commands which are there in Windows, in which language it is written? They have used their own Microsoft language to write that command actually. Microsoft language. So Microsoft have its own Microsoft language actually, which is more like a C# language, guys. They have used. So using that, they have written all these commands. In some organization, in big companies, if you're working on projects, you will see that in many of the companies under the projects, they have implemented the command, and the command is written in Python. When I was working under HP company, guys, the commands in I was working on one of the projects as a service guard project. All the commands in the service guard project, whatever the service guard projects which I was working on, all the commands were written in the Perl language. Actually, you can write it anyway. But what happened? You need to write that appropriately. You need to give up permissions for that, and you need to place that command into some path like this. You have to keep it in the path so that that command will become executable. You can run from anywhere. That command. You can run from anywhere. So command is an executable program, and command does some task. Now in Linux, actually what happened, that there are so many commands are there. If you try to check it out, there are many commands are there. More than 1500 plus commands are there. But for us to learn the Linux operating system very well, I would expect all of us to have minimum at least 100 commands knowledge should be there. Not immediately. Immediately, like when we started learning Linux, actually, I would expect that minimum some 15 commands we should know, so that we'll start working on the system. Later, many other commands are there, which will be slowly learning one by one. You cannot learn or you cannot digest all the 100 commands or hundreds of commands on one day itself or within few days. You cannot digest, because there's a lot of things are there in every command. You need to remember, you need to practice, you need to know where to execute that command. When you are using that commands, you should have that knowledge, everything. Then when you get to know that, then what happened, you'll start using that commands. So guys, how this commands comes actually in Linux actually. By default, what happens when you install Linux, right? When the installation of Linux happens, by default, many commands also gets installed. Okay, Rajesh, it get installed. Like how many? I would say that more than 150 plus commands will by default we get installed. Okay, right? How these commands are getting installed is something like a package getting installed. With help of a package, we are getting these commands. Yes, sir. We are getting the packages. So as part of the Linux installation, what the Linux installation will do, it will install the operating system, no doubt. It is install the operating system, no doubt. But along with the installation of operating system, it also installs the package also. And these packages, you will get the commands. Tomorrow, you said that, Rajesh, I want some command, but that command is not there at all in the Linux system. No problem, man. Try to find from which package name. Try to find which package that command comes from. Then go and install that package. So as soon as you install that package, you will get that command, whatever the command you need it actually. So whenever you want to get any command, if the command is not finding in system, you have to simply understand, okay, certain package there which is missing, which is not there. Okay, if I install that package, I will get that command. So how to get that command? Just Google it out. What is the package name? Okay, so in Linux or in Linux, actually what happened, guys, you have a package manager. We will discuss about this everything in the upcoming package manager. Okay, so in Linux, actually, you have a different package manager. Like for example, you have a RPM package manager is there. Okay, Debian package manager is there. Okay, and what are the other things, guys? You have many other package managers. M package manager is there. Okay, right? So yeah. Yeah.
DNF.
Yeah, DNF, yeah. D1. These are the package managers. Yes. But most of the package will be having an RPM as an extension, and many other packages will be there under the .deb, debit pack as an extension actually. Okay, it depends upon the package manager with which it has built. So when we try to install this package or RPM or Debian packages, we will get that command actually. Am I clear, sir? So we will discuss all these things. What is this package all about? Because I'll have one session only on package manager, how you can play around with this package manager. It's quite interesting class. We will discuss about all these things. So now, guys, some default commands are getting executed. Default commands you will get it post installation of the Linux operating system. When you install it, you will get many commands. By default, you get many commands. Now, every command, guys, almost all the commands in Linux, whatever is there, all these commands are in a lowercase. They are not in uppercase. You cannot execute any command like this. Suppose if I have ls command, you will say that, Rajesh, I want to, if I execute the ls command with the uppercase, like this. There's no command with that name. Commands will not come in uppercase, guys. It always be lowercase, right? And whenever we want to check the information about the command, more information about the command, you have to execute the command man ls and say enter. So man will show you the manual page of that command, right? What ls does, it will list out all the files and directories or directory content. What is what is a synopsis? It means that how you can execute that command. You have to just say ls space some option and say, and there the file name. So this is the way they are telling you to construct that command while executing. So you have to just say ls option and the file name or a directory or whatever the path you want to show, right? That you can pass it. So this we call as a synopsis. This we call it as the name, what exactly that command do actually. And here under the description, they have given description about that command, what that command does. And finally, you will see so many options are there. Every command in Linux, guys, you will be finding a lot of options. If you come down here, if you scroll down here, see there are so many options are there. -A, -B, -C, -G, -F, capital F, capital H, right? This we called as an options actually. So what happened, guys? Whenever you are getting any command will be there, along with that options will also be there. And options is something which is very important for all of us. Like for example, if ls command is there, ls will always have a lot of options. Now whenever we want to execute any command with any option, it should start something like this, ls space, and you have to give the hyphen. That is always mandatory. And you need to give the option name, like either I can give hyphen a option or a b option or c option or d, whatever available is there, right? You can play around with that command with the option. Now why we have these options again? 90% of the options are in lowercase only, guys. One or two options will be in uppercase. The command will work even with the uppercase also. But whereas this main command will always be in the lowercase, it will not be there in the uppercase. Now, why we are having so many options? So guys, options will give an end user to get certain output the way you need it actually, right? So you will get to know various lot of information about each and every option in our upcoming sessions. You need not to worry now. So you ought to have to understand that. First, I need to understand what is a command, Rajesh. Yes, that is the command. Okay, I got to know what is a command. And after that, I need to even check it out. What are the options which are available or given for that command? So various options like -A, -B, -C, -D, -E, like this. If you go here in the man page, right? If you go to the man page, you will see so many options. -A, -B, -C, -D, -E, -F, So it means that for every option, guys, there is a default, there is some output you're going to get it. Like for example, can you see here? Here, ls-a, ls-b, ls-c, ls-l, ls-r, ls-i, ls-capital R. See, you're getting various different outputs. The command is same, but option differs you the output actually. And this is what the trick is, that for every command, guys, there is an option is there. We should also learn the options along with that command. But you said that, Rajesh, there are so many options are there, -A, -B. Do you think that I have to remember all those? No, guys. So guys, whenever you're learning anything, you shouldn't always by heart the thing. You shouldn't by heart the things. You should use so much that it should come to your mind automatically when you're working in a system. Practice so much that you should not remember it. You should used to be it should be used to you, and automatically that information that will trigger your mind. So I don't remember any of the commands or the options. How I remember means I'll be keep using these commands everyday activity, right? By default, it will be in my back of my mind always. Is it fine, guys? So please don't try to remember the commands. Okay, try to use so much that it will become a part of your knowledge, or it will become a part of your to your existing knowledge. Right? Okay, good. So now, guys, again, as I said, right, all these commands are written in C language only, and all these commands, okay, all these commands, what happened, right? They will be there in some path actually. They'll place in some path, or they'll place in some file system path, or we call it the file system. Okay. Now, If I just check like ls command is there, but in which path this ls command is there, if I execute a command where is ls, you could see that it will show me the path of that command /usr bin path. Okay, under this ls command is there. Okay, so Rajesh, I execute ls command, it showed me output. Can I give the complete path to execute? Yeah, I can give like this usr bin ls. See, even this also will get executed. You can give the complete path of that command itself, it'll execute, or else you can just execute ls, it'll also run it. I can either use where is ls, or I can say just say which ls. It'll also show you the path. Okay, and whenever you want to see more information about the command, right, we will be executing a man command. I'll say man and ls. You could see that it is opened that manual page of that command. Here what happened, guys, if you scroll down, you will get all the information about that command. Plus, if you go at the end, actually, see, if you go at the end, it will show you the copyright. Okay, it'll also show you the who's the author who designed it. David Mackenzie and Richard Stallman. These two people, they wrote that command. And you could also see that this command actually is coming from the package of the core utils package. So from the core utils package, during installation of Linux, there's one package will get installed the core utils. From this core utils, what happened that even ls command is also come into the picture. So like that way, guys, you will get a lot of information at the end of the page. Please always go to the manner page. It is very good habit for all of us to learn about any command through the manner page only. And how to come out from this command, guys? I mean, how to come out from this means you have to just press Q. Q means quit. See, I'll just say Q. I'll come out. So when you do a man ls, it will show you the output. It will show the output whenever you want to exit, from that screen, press Q button. That's all. You'll come out from that execution. So a lot of people, what they do, they'll either go with the man ls, enter, they'll go to the man page and they'll just do a Q means quit. Or some people will go with the info ls. Info ls will give much more information than the manual page command. That's what. If I say info ls and enter, see, it gives you various info. See, firstly, they describe about what is ls does, exit status, menu, right, and also options. See, you will get much more information, right? If I want to quit it, I'll just say Q. I'll come out from that. So either info ls or man ls, anything is fine. Or else I want one line information about that command, Rajesh. I'll just say what is ls and say enter. Nothing appropriate. It's saying that, but it is not updated the DB. Okay. So I'll just say sudo apt update. Okay. So don't worry now. I'm doing something. Sudo update DB. Where is it, man? Update DB. Update DB is not there. Okay, this they have removed it actually. Sudo DB. Okay, I will check that out. Update DB like this. This command is not there. Okay, fine. What is ls? What is PWD? Ah, it is not updated the database. I think that's what. There's a database is there. Update DB database there. If you run it, it will show you. It will show you the output of this. What is CD? Nothing appropriate. It's not working. I'll check that, guys, why it is not working. But what is there, where is there, which is there? These are all the shortcut commands actually. That will show you some shortcuts actually for you. Okay, fine, guys. Now, so always, as I said, guys, it is always mandatory for all of us that we need to learn the Linux by executing the commands only. That is the best way of learning Linux. First is something like we have to learn the environment of Linux. That is one thing from the very high level, and then like start learning Linux, start exploring Linux by executing the commands. And for every command, there are some options are there, right? There are multiple options are there. I will not say that you need to go through all the options. It is best you go through it, or else if you remember the most used options in the organization. Suppose I know that for every command, 4 to 5 options are always mandatory to be known. So please try to learn those 4 to 5 options. You should always execute that command with that option and try to see the output and try to understand what that option does for you or what the option which will provide to you. So because this is very important, guys, why I'm telling you, because that when if you go for interview also, it will help you a lot to answer a lot of things in a better way. So they will expect you to know all these things. Because if you're working in a real time, obviously you would have used all those options and they will expect that you should know all these options. Even though in interview they're not asking, but still while giving an interview, when you use all those options, okay, I use this option, that option, I will got this output like that. I did processed that and I try to update, add the filter, and this way I got the output. Something like that. If you tell like that, right, in an interview, they will know that this guy is has worked in the organization. He has a real time knowledge and he know the things actually. So that is always mandatory, guys. It's again, all these are very basics, whatever I'm saying, very basics, because in today's time, right, when people started jumping into DevOps directly, and when they're learning by default, they will learn all these things. Linux also they will learn, Linux commands also they will learn, Linux options also they will learn, many things actually. It becomes a common for them. They don't find that much difficulty in understanding, because they know that okay, how I can run in a system by executing some commands only, and how I can run or execute certain tasks means by executing the command only. That's how they know it. That much they know it. They might not know in depth, in detail about how things are working in the back end, but they know that okay, I want to achieve certain task. Okay, for that I have to execute some commands with some options. That's all the DevOps you will know at the end of the day. So even we all also have to, more or less we have to learn the same way, because that is the first primary way where we will be used to the system. We will be have an habitual of log into the system and start working it, because that's a very primary step it is required, guys. Once you start learning it, then we will start exploring more and more, and then indirectly we'll be learning many other knowledge on Linux itself. So we cannot say that, okay, we can even learn Linux completely. We can learn Linux and then we can learn DevOps. That is also fine. But what I would suggest that some very basic level of Linux is required for us to jump into any of the DevOps topic, or even to the cloud topic also. AWS or Azure, anything, any cloud, always Linux is required. Am I clear, sir? Okay. Now, guys, what are the other things we will cover now? Okay, I think almost we are uh, how much we covered, guys? We started with 10:30, 11:30, 11:45 right now, 1 hour 15 minutes. Fine. We will cover some more things today. Okay. So now, guys, what is my main next topic which I have to cover is that we need to learn the commands actually. Okay, we need to learn the commands actually. For learning the commands, okay, for learning the commands, what we do that I will be executing some commands, like for example some 20 to 25 commands we will discuss in our class. Okay, it will take around 2 to 3 hours to understand all those commands output, because while learning these commands I'll be explaining many other things, so that we will be learning Linux itself. So that's how we have to start it. Okay, but what I feel like, before we start the commands, let us try to understand two important things. One is a Linux file system, and other is a types of files. Let us try to dig into these things, two things, and then we'll get into the commands. Am I clear, sir? So shall we try to complete these two topics now? Okay. Maybe we might not able to complete, we might not able to start the commands today, but what we do tomorrow early morning when we start our class, right? The next session, we will start with the commands only, and commands are mandatory. For all of us, we'll be learning about the commands. Okay, somebody has put some message. Okay, Suket, install plocate. Why? Yeah, fine, man. Plocate is something. Okay, please try this. Which DB? Okay, thank you, man. Yeah, we have to install that package. That's how we'll get that. Yeah, thank you, man. I'll try that later. Okay. Now, so guys, so we have something known as a file system. Now, what is this file system is all about? So guys, when you take any disk, actually, I think I'm sure that you might have purchased some USB stick or USB drive device, right? We call it as a pen drive, right? So that's a USB stick, but we call it as a SCSI device. We say SCSI, SCSI device, or else we might have took the hard disk. Or in a very older days, right, long back, right, we used to even take the floppies also, right? We purchase the floppy from the disk from the market, or we purchase the disk from the market, right? So many things we purchase. So those are nothing but the drives, we say. Those are nothing but the hard drives, right? Those are the hard drives. Now, how basically the hard drives are stored actually, right? How the data are stored in the hard drives. So usually what happens if you take any disk, suppose if I take a hard drive like this, if I take the hard disk, suppose if I take a hard disk, you might have seen, guys, if you go to the Amazon, right? And if you say that, Rajesh, I want to buy an external disk actually, right? What we'll go with something known as a, what is it? Mm, 1 TB external hard disk, SSD hard disk. See, you'll get this disk like this, right? 1 terabyte disks like this, SanDisk or your Samsung or Kingston or whichever is there, right? You'll get this. If you take this is the disk actually. Inside it has a disk actually. Inside it has a hard disk actually. This is nothing but the hard disk inside that box. Hard disk. So usually, guys, hard disk is a raw disk actually we say, and it is a disk which is coated with a magnetic ink. It is coated with a magnetic ink. Okay, and always all these disk are in the disk platters. We say it is formed with the disk platters. We say, and under this disk platters, right, magnetic ink is coated, right, and this disk platters, what we say, they are divided into something known as a they are having so many tracks. Every disk has a tracks, and each and every tracks is divided into something known as a sectors, and sectors allocated together we call it as a blocks actually. This is the terminology we use it always in the file system. It means that this is the disk actually. This disk has a lot of tracks like this. This is one track. Okay. This is one track like this. Track. You might have seen that some tracks are there. And always all your normal data, whatever the data you have, right? All your normal data are stored in this tracks only like this. Always all your data are stored in this tracks only, guys, like this. Here, all these data are stored in tracks only. Like this. Red color, what I'm showing you, it is stored here in these tracks actually like this. All your normal data actually. And these disks, what we say that they are divided like this actually, like this. So this one thing, sorry, this, sorry, this one thing, what we call it as a sector actually. One sector, and one sector is of a 512 bytes is one sector. So always these disks having tracks are divided to sector, and each sector is always 512 bytes. So what is this sector? This 512 bytes is the minimal addressable unit of your disk. Minimal addressable unit of the disk is one sector. Always. So whenever your system or your operating system or right, it want to read the data from the disk, it can actually read one sector at a time. It cannot read less than one sector. Always, because there is a there is a limitations are there for every device that, okay, minimum this much it can read. It cannot read less than that actually, right? That's how that constraint starts from the from the devices. So in this case, this is a hard disk. Hard disk, a minimal addressable unit of a storage device is nothing but one sector. It means that minimum one sector has to be given for every file whenever a new file is created, or whenever a file is storing any data. Minimum of one sector of this disk space should be given for that file for storing the data. Minimum, maximum it can go anything. So right, so two adjacent sectors or two sectors, that is 512 plus 512 will make as 1024 bytes. We call it as a 1K block, actually 1K block size like this. So two adjacent sectors like this will make one block size. That is 512 plus 512 is 1024 byte. Right? Same thing, guys. You have multiple different blocks like 4 sector, which is nothing but 512 plus 512 plus 512 plus 512. 4 adjacent sectors make one block as a 2048 bytes, approximately 2K block size. Like this, you have a 8K block size. 512 plus 512 plus 512 is how much? 1024 bytes, 1024 byte. This is 2 sectors, not 4 sectors. You can call it a 2K block size actually, yeah. 8 sectors is something like which will 8 sectors together will make it as a 4096 bytes, approximately 4K block size. So we have various block sizes like that actually. 1K block, 2K block, 4K block. The maximum is 8K block. Beyond 8K, there are no 8K. 8K means 16 sectors. Together make one block as a 8K block actually. Sorry, 16K. 16 block size. Sorry. So your file systems are represented in terms of blocks actually. Fine. Now, so we use always a term knowledge. We use always a term, very common terminology. We use something as a formatting, creating a file system. So what do you mean by formatting, creating a file system? Whenever you have this raw disk, basically what happened is raw disk, when you create a file system, a layer of file system will get created on disk actually. Something like this. A layer will get created like this. A layer of file system will get created on this actually. Like this, a layer will get created on top of it. This layer, whatever the layer which is created onto the disk, on top of the disk, this is nothing but your file system image. Or nothing but this we call the file system. So when you are saying that, Rajesh, I'm formatting the disk, right? What do you mean by it? Means that you are actually creating a fresh file system onto the disk. Without the file system, you cannot store any data. So all those data are stored in the set only. But who is actually who is making it to arrange or organize and store this data? Your file system will store all the data. Without a file system, you cannot just simply go and communicate with the disk. Disk you cannot communicate. With the help of file system only, the Linux kernel can able to communicate with the disk. It means that whenever you want to do any operation onto the disk, like you want to write some data into the sector, read the data into the sector, delete the data from the sector, whatever you are doing operation onto the file or onto the data, whatever you want to do, you are doing with the help of a file system only. So in Linux, guys, there are many file systems are available. What are those file systems? It is actually started with, we call as an extended file system, ext file system we say. But slowly, gradually, what happened? You got many ext2, ext3 file system, ext4, ext5 file system. There are many advanced file system have come into it. Which are they call as one more is a Razor file system. Okay. One more is known as a cram file system. Okay. One more is there as a ADFS file system. So many advanced file system have come, right, guys. But which is the most used file system which is used in Linux now is ext5 file system is still under use actually. In the organization, if you go here, there when they install Linux, right, you will get by default the ext5 file system. Right. So with the help of that file system only what happened, guys, as I said, right, you are able to store the data into the sector. or whenever you want to store your file data into the sector or into the blocks, whatever the terminology we use that. So who is going to store all those files, data, everything under the block, right? With help of a file system. So file system is a system software that will make sure that a user data can be arranged, organized properly into the disk. If you want to give any name of the file, you want to give a name, okay, your file system will take care of giving a name. Whenever you are trying to give any permission for the file, or what are the default permission to be given, the file system will take care. Whenever you are moving the file from one directory to other directory, or from one disk to other disk, the file system take care. File system will do so many operations. Without a file system, literally you cannot communicate with any device, any of your disk device, you cannot communicate. There has to be a file system. So file system is not, but you are trying to say that, Rajesh, I'm going to format that device or disk into the file system. It means that formatting is afresh creating a new file system onto the disk. So you would have seen, guys, when you get from the market a new hard disk which is 1 terabyte, as soon as you plug in that, your Windows will detect it, because that file system minimum what they do nowadays, right? When they create when the device comes to the market, they'll minimum give with the entire file system only, that Windows file system. So as soon as you plug in that device, even if it is a Linux operating system or Windows operating system, it will detect that device and it will show that, okay, these are the device. But later what happen, you can mount it, right? Or you can unmount it and you can create a partitions, and each and every partition you can give some different file system. You can format with either with the Windows or with Linux, and then I can start using that disk, start using the device based on your requirement. So we can do in any way actually. Like for example, if I get a USB or if I get a hard disk, if I'm getting 1 terabyte hard disk, what I will do that I will just try to create 2 folders, right? Folders nothing but a drive. So while creating a drive, again, uh, it'll ask me to format it. So while formatting, okay, it will take the disk, whatever the disk you have given, it will take a complete disk and then it will create a file system on that. Am I clear, sir? After creating a file system only, then only what happened, you can able to mount that partition, or you can mount that device. Without the file system partitioning, you cannot mount the device, because your Linux kernel has not detected the device. It sees that, okay, there's no file system, it's an empty disk actually. It doesn't have anything. Your Linux cannot do any operation onto that disk because it doesn't have any file system. Whenever there is a file system which is there in that disk, right, then only what happened, the system or your Linux kernel will recognize it. It will try to mount that device into a disk it will try to mount it into the system, and then it will allow you to do access to that files or a directory what it has in the disk actually. Am I clear, sir? So by default, ext3 file system or ext5 Razor file system, okay, Amiga's fast file system, these are some of the very best file systems are available in the market. So extended file system is actually used in almost all Linux flavor. Extended ext5 file system that is used actually. Right now, guys, as a part of this file system, when you take ext3 file system or whatever, okay, this file system has some basic structure. Okay, so ext5 or ext4 or anything, this file system has some basic structure. Basic structure. So what is it? Basic structure means basically this file system understands certain how I can say it understands certain way of understanding how this file system can be mounted onto the which device, or onto the which partition it can mount actually. Plus it has to do some operations, right? Because as an end user you'll be doing some operation, so you have to find some directory structure through which you can do an operation. So what this file system will do, that the file system, when it get loaded, by default what happen, it is going to understand the root file system, RFS, because the root file system, it understands the working structure root file system. So a file system will be mounted onto this root file system. Your actual ext3 file system will be mounted onto the root file system, we say. Right now, this root file system, guys, always what happen, this is we call as a root file system as a inverted tree structure manner, we'll say, because always the root of the file system will always start with a slash. It always slash with a slash, and below this slash There are so many directory structures are there like this. I think some of you already gone, right? Right. So what is it actually? You have some folder structures like USR, var, home, lib, root, etc, proc, sys, mnt, temp. What other things you have? So many things are there. How do you verify? How do you check it out, guys? If you come here and if you do an ls, I think okay, it gets timed out. If I do a cd to slash enter and say ls, can you see? etc home, Dave is there, boot is there, which I missed. Dave is there. Sorry. Of course, I'm writing in a uppercase, but all these are in lowercase only. Right? Dave is there. Bin is there. Sbin is there. So many other folder structures are available. I'm not naming everything, but this is what it looks like. See, loss plus found, mnt, proc, run, srv, snap, sys, usr, var, temp, lib directory, dev directory, etc directory, boot directory, home directory, bin directory. I missed the boot directory. So this is the default structure, guys. Now all these folders, right, which are in blue color, right? These are all the default file system directory structures we say. Okay, and what the system will do, that system will make sure that it has some default files, it has some default content into it. Whatever the USR it has, it will have some content. It means that when you freshly installed Linux machine, you will get all this folder structure, but it has some already it has some information. Right? What we need to understand at this point of time is that actually that what this folder will do for us, what kind of files it has, okay, how it is going to helpful for us in the near future when I am working, right? Like how I'll be effectively using this file system at my work. That also you have to understand it in a very deeper way actually. In a very deeper way. If not in a very deeper way, at least at the initial stage, in some shallow level, you need to learn. As and when you start progressing, working more and more on Linux, right? Because every day you'll be working on Linux, guys. Even though you are a DevOps and cloud engineer, you'll be hitting some servers and you'll be executing some commands, right? So you will be hitting with a lot of servers and every day, and you'll be learning the concept then and there itself. Or sometime what happens if you are not getting that opportunity to
Rajesh,
learn? Yes, sir.
so I worked on until 7.9 version only. So is it necessary to learn 8 and 9 versions too?
In Red Hat, you are saying?
Yes.
It's not like that. So it depend upon your project, right? If you in your company, if you're working on Red Hat 8, RHL 8, it's fine, sir. RHL, it's left to your interest. Now, what happened? RHL 10 is there. RHL 10 has a lot of features, new features. RHL 10 new certification has also come, right? So a lot of people, a lot of passionate guys, what they do know, they will start learning what RHL 10 has. They might enroll some program, or they might directly enroll to the Red Hat programs, and they'll try to see what is the new latest features are available. They'll try to write the certification. It's all their passion, sir. So why they do it? Because firstly they want to they want to keep themselves updated, and second is that actually that at their workplace also they can showcase that knowledge, saying that okay, I updated recently on RHL 10 and also I took a certification. So with that, what happened, right? If you're getting any project right onto the Red Hat 10, you will be RHL 10, you'll be able to comfortably work in.
Yes.
But it's not like that, oh, I'm using RHL 8 or RHL 9, I should learn RHL 10 or that. No, it's not like that. If your project or in your company, it doesn't demands, and even if you're not interested, okay, that is fine. Okay. It's all again, it's all depend upon your passion, sir. Passion will make you to learn many things, sir. If you don't have a passion, if you don't have that into to learn, right, definitely you will be under your own comfort zone only. You think that, okay, this much I know, this is sufficient for me. But tomorrow, what happens, we don't know, right? So that's the reason what happened. A lot of people in a fear, a lot of people with passion and fear, whatever we say, they will learn a lot of new things which are recently come to the market because they want to be up to date. That's all.
Yes.
Simple. Even we also, sir, DevOps cloud, right? We'll be keep learning. We'll be seeing now how we integrate the AI with the DevOps, right? How to integrate the ML machine learning with the ops. What is data engineering? So many things we'll be doing, and every day we'll also be thinking about how to upgrade ourselves in automation so that we can use Python or Go language in our automation skills, right? So it's a never ending, sir. All these learnings are never ending. It'll be key. If you keep learning this, you'll be learning more and more. Okay, guys. So now what we'll do, guys, I think we will stop it here. What we do that we will continue in tomorrow's class from here onwards. So what we are doing that we will be continuing from file system where I will take around some 15 to 20 minutes of time in trying to explain about this folder structure and what it contains. We will just learn one level, not in a very deeper way, just one level information about each and every folder structure, what is required and what are the things which you have to remember. I'll be explaining that also. And after that, we will be learning about the types of files and then we'll get into the commands. Command is something which I would expect that along with me, if you have a system with you, it is well and good because you can practice then and there itself, or else you can note it down all the commands. So guys, what I will do that, what are the command which I executed right till now? I think it has exited out. I'll just say Control C and I'll just execute a command history. So history will give you some commands. Here also, guys, in other terminal, I execute a very command, lot of commands. If I execute history, it is wiped out. But if I execute history command, you'll tend to get so many commands which I executed. But any of this video is available. You can go through it, or else I will give you one PDF which is only having commands only. So you can even go through, learn through that PDF. Also, you can learn through all the commands, or you can learn all the commands. So what is our next day topic, guys? Next agenda, tomorrow's topic. We'll discuss about the timing also now. Okay, we will continue with the file system only, and also we will after this we'll try to go with the types of files, and we will get into the commands. I think in tomorrow's morning session, we will try to cover as much as possible the commands. Some of the very important commands like 20 to 25 commands we will cover so that we all are well up to date with that commands. And from now onwards, I expect guys, you should have Linux machine and you should start working because now you know something commands, you know how to log into the system. That is one thing. And you know commands, please execute the command. Don't worry about the output. Suppose something you have executed, which is not required. Okay, no problem. No issues actually. We can debug and we can fix that issue. But what I at least that I expect that you come out from that zone, from that hesitation zone. You come out from that and then you start having a machine, server machine, where every day you can log in and you can check it out. So I need everyone to have a machine, guys. That's the reason I'm requesting everyone to have a cloud account. And once you have an AWS account, right, you can able to log in or you can able to launch a new machine and you can able to log in and work along with me. And of course, even after some time also, if you're working on an organization, you are having some free time, you can log into your machine there also and you can start practicing. Okay. Fine, guys. With that, I will stop it today. Any doubts so far? And one question, guys. Some of you, I saw some messages already. Some of you are person pinging me saying that, sir, give us a drive. Don't worry, guys. By tomorrow, you will get the drive. That is first point. Okay, where you can download it. I always request that when I share the drive to all of you, firstly that please try to download that videos and then and there it's on the same day itself. Suppose today I completed the video. Sorry, today I took the session and I will upload by tonight only. I will expect at least by tomorrow, day after tomorrow, you guys try to download that video and keep it in a separate drive. So if you're having your own laptop, you can keep that data in your laptop, or else if you don't have that much space, you can take a pen drive or can take some extra hard disk and you can start saving all the files under that hard disk or nothing but the any kind of a storage device which you have it. Okay, that is one thing. Secondly, why I'm telling you because even my Gmail, with the new Gmail, right? It also what happened? There is a limit of 15 GB, right? Storage. So after 15 GB, right, I will not be able to upload any of the videos, new videos, right? So that's the reason I would always expect that you guys should download all the videos and keep it so that at one point of time I will tell guys, have you completed download? You will say yes. Then I'll go and I will just I'll delete all the content so that I can fresh updately the new contents I can upload in that same drive actually. So that's one humble request that please start using Linux machine and start executing the commands, right? Whichever you have learned all the unnecessary things you can You can practice and you can do it. What I'm saying means unnecessary things means when you try to create a install, you try to create a Linux machine and all, right? You can do it every day. That is a preferred way, like terminate and do it, or else you can just make it in a stop state, and you can like you can practice again the next day when you log in, and again you try to practice, right? You can again run that in the running state, and you can start working on it. So anyway, you can do it, but I would recommend you that every day, guys, you try to terminate that machine, and next day when you come or whenever you log in next time, right, you have to launch a new instance and have a Linux machine up and running and start working. Fine, guys. With that, I think I'm done for today. Any questions so far?
Rajesh, if you install EPL packages, then what's the point of having OPT?
OPT, yeah.
Yeah, directory.
No. OPT is an optional directory, sir. EPL is a Red Hat package through which what happened, right? You will try to install any of the other packages. So EPL is a mandatory
Yes.
package actually, right? That's a enterprise.
Yes.
Yeah. If you're working on CentOS, you're working on Fedora, or you're working on Red Hat, anything, EPL is a must actually. Right. OPT is
Yes.
OPT is a by default folder, sir. It'll get it. It is called as an optional folder, where what happened, right? Like you can optionally mount any of the file system onto it. It's an empty folder. You can use based on your requirement. You can say, for example, you are having some NFS file system, and you say that, Rajesh, I want to mount that file system. Where to mount it? Try to mount under the OPT directory. Suppose you try to get your USB drive, USB stick or SCSI device. You said, Raj, if I plug in, where to mount it? Please mount under the /OPT directory. OPT is for optional directory. Whenever you want to,
Yes.
whenever you want to mount any external file system, you can mount under the /OPT directory.
Okay.
Yeah.
But EPL also, we are having third-party softwares and everything, right?
Right. Sir, EPL, what happened, no, sir? Suppose you are trying to install certain packages, but what happened, right? That package in your yum update repo, right? Yum repo.d folder, what happened, right? It has not updated very well with the repo list actually, right? So EPL, what happened? It'll help you to install all those packages which you can't install directly. So EPL is a mandatory, I can say, package manager through a package which by installing it, your yum repo.d will get installed. All else, and also you can able to install all the latest package, everything with help of a EPL. Actually, EPL is mandatory.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. Any other questions so far, guys? Apart from Krishna, any other people? Karthik, Dipali.
Yeah, like LVMs also will cover concepts.
LVM I will not cover, sir, because again LVM will go more into the Linux administration part. Actually, I will not be covering that.
Okay.
If you want, I can give you some videos. You can go through it. But yeah, if we start covering, it will become more like a administration class actually. I want to make you learn Linux to the user perspective, like where we can
Okay.
start learning DevOps tools. Yeah, of course, whatever you're asking is right. But when you are going with the job where there is a requirement of pure Linux administration knowledge, plus even they have a requirement in the cloud, even they have a requirement in the DevOps. In some of the companies, there are certain requirements where you should be very strong in Linux administration also. Yeah, at that time, obviously, we need to learn all these things. Suppose some people are only joining only for a job related to the administration, Linux administration. For them, they need all this concept. They need to even have the certifications also. RSC certifications also required, right? Many other certifications are required you to fetch a job. But in today's time, what happened, guys? Linux administration, pure Linux administration jobs are also have been decreased. Okay, there are very less jobs. Okay, that is one thing. And secondly, what happened, right? You will not get that much interest working only on Linux administration part work, because you will think that, and also salary is very less. It's not like salaries are more, salaries are very less. Now, when you start getting Linux administration work and you start working, firstly, for some time, it will make you very much interested to work. But over the period of time, what happened, right? The same routine work you'll be doing, the same repetitive work you'll be doing. You'll get bored. And also, you'll see that your package is very less compared to the package which the DevOps and cloud or data engineering or data analytics people are drawing. So you'll feel like, okay, let me learn administration, sorry, let me learn DevOps and cloud, then I'll jump it. So that's what happened. A lot of even Linux admission people are jumping into the DevOps because they're only seeing the factor of money there. And also a lot of interesting things are there because when you start working on DevOps and you start working on cloud guys, you will be learning many new cutting edge technology. So that will actually increase your knowledge more. And in the near future also, when you gain more and more experience in this DevOps and cloud, right, your value will also get increased in the organization. Because in every org, what happened, right? They need an architect, they need a senior technical lead, they need a scrum master, right? Right, who has worked very well onto the all this DevOps and cloud platforms, who can able to manage, tackle any kind of client requirements, everything, and he can able to like drive the team. These are the jobs required which are currently there in the market. They don't want any they don't need a guy who is who is just a basic DevOps engineer, something like that. They need it, but not in a very big number. But they need a people who have a lot of experience in DevOps and cloud, who has a lot of good skill set, and he has a vast experience, working experience, and he can able to handle like any of the clients or any of the work individually. Such kind of a job requirements are there today, and even they are ready to give any package, 50 lakhs, 60 lakhs, 70 lakhs, whatever you ask with automation, they are ready to give. But what happened, right? You should have a genuine experience actually. So to go into that level, I would say that at least in a DevOps or in the platform engineering or into the cloud engineering or into the data science or into the SRE or any of these related fields, right? Work at least for 3, 4 years or 5 years, so that you'll get a very good understanding picture about. Then you can apply for that bigger position like architect or whatever. It's all again depend upon your experience, guys, your current holding experience. Some people have 8, 9 years experience. They might not have a very good experience in DevOps cloud. They'll try to learn themselves something very quickly and they'll showcase that I worked as an architect. It again depend upon his knowledge and depend upon the time when he give interview. Maybe sometimes some people will get cracked the interview, some people will miserably fail in the interview because they'll get to know that there are so many things they ask in an interview. So that's how you can see, guys. One more thing I want to tell you that in today's time, right? If you work as a normal engineer also, like almost DevOps engineer level 1 DevOps, you apply for the DevOps engineer 3 level, 3rd level, you apply as an SRE, you apply as a platform engineer, you apply as a senior architect, whatever position you apply in today's time, right? For everyone, the interview process is same only. That is one thing. The level of interview questions, whatever they are asking is same only. It means that even the hardest question is asked to the architect field also. The same question even is asked for even for the normal engineer also. DevOps engineer also, engine level 1 also. The same questions are being asked. So don't think that okay, I'm having one or two. I'll show as 1 or 2 experience. I'll be asked in interview very less, or they will show some leniency. No, they are not showing any leniency. They are just want to see that how much this person has grabbed the knowledge. So some people will appreciate your knowledge based on your experience. Some people have very less experience, 3, 4 years experience, but they have learned so much potential that even they can able to beat even 10 or 12 years experience person also. In the actually, I'm saying in the real time. I'm just saying means in 3, 4 years only they have gained, and they would have seen that, and in the organization or in interview they have seen that a person who's having 10, 12 years of experience, but he can't even answer simple question also. He's not even competitive with even 2 years experience also. 2 years experience DevOps engineer would have learned much more than a 10 or 12 years experience. Vice versa, both has happened like that. Or as in a company, you would see that if you see, like suppose if you come to my company where I was working earlier, like Lumen company, you'll find fantastic DevOps engineer cloud who have worked for 7, 8 years, but they have gained tremendous knowledge actually, and you can't beat them. They are in top notch actually. So for them, always what happens, the gates are always open in a very high big organizations. They can even join in Amazon, they can even join in Meesho company, they can even join in LinkedIn company, any big company with very high package, they can jump because they have that potential or they have gained that knowledge. So what I want from all of you is that when you learn everything, learn in a good way, so that at least in an intermediate way, you can apply for the job. And please remove all those things from your mind that, oh, Rajesh, I'm having 10 years experience, but I will show only 3 years experience as a DevOps engineer. I will be asked less. No, no, man, you'll not be asked less. You'll be asked more only because they'll not see the 10 years experience. They'll not see that 3 years. They'll see the 10 years experience. Even though you orally are saying, no, sir, from last 10 years, 3 years only I'm working DevOps, it doesn't mean that they'll ask you simple question. They'll ask you all tough questions only. So please be ready with anything. Suppose a person who's only having 3 years experience, even for them also same type of question is asked. And even for the 10 years experience, who is showcasing them himself that I'm having 3 years experience. For him also the same level of question is asked. So please remove all those in your mind that no, I will be asked very less, I'll be asked more. Nothing like that. It is all equal everywhere in today's time now. So it means that competition is tough, guys. No doubt. The best is going to will survive, right? Uh, right, the person who doesn't have good knowledge, who has have a very shallow knowledge, of course he will be hit like anything, right? Even though he clear and he go for a company, there he will miserably, he'll be hit like anything, unless and until he try to adapt himself and try to learn quickly to work on the project. Otherwise he will miserably, he will fail at every stage at the workplace. So whatever it's that, do whatever the mistake you do, right? See, you want to enter into DevOps and cloud, right? Whatever you want to learn, whatever you want to do the mistake, please do the mistake now only. Don't do the mistake, don't commit any mistake after joining the company. There what happened, nobody will see that actually. Nobody want to hear your excuses. You do your excuse, you do all your mistakes now only, so that you will learn now only everything well and fine, so that you will not find this problem when you work in the real time after joining it. A lot of people will face this problem, guys. I've seen that a lot of people will face real challenges when they are in the work or in the project. That time they need more support. That's the reason a lot of people will start calling me, Rajesh, I need this support, I need this support. Why? Because that even though they have learned it, they might have learned in a good way or shallow, I don't know, but they are miserably, they are facing issue because they're not able to tackle the task. What are the tasks which are assigned, right? They are not able to understand, they're not able to do it because they are finding difficulty, because they might have not worked in the real time at all, right? They might have just told that okay, I have worked on it based on certain intro question answer, they have been hired. Finally some task will be given, thinking by the lead or somebody head that okay, this fellow might do it or can do the task, but he will miserably fail out or he is unable to do it because again, lack of knowledge. So why again? Because that he has never did all the mistakes at work. He has never worked on it. Simply some fake he has put or whatever he known, right? He has shown that and he has went. He has miserably failed. So for you guys, it's a good quality. It's a golden opportunity that you do mistake now only. Don't do the mistake after joining the company, right? Fine, guys. With that, I'll stop it. It is. I think we have covered certain topics today. But anyhow, so from tomorrow we will tomorrow class. Yeah, class timing, guys. So Saturday and Sunday class timing. I will not tell anything about Sunday. Let us only focus on Saturday only because Sunday also we have. So guys, tomorrow 9 a.m. IST. Is it fine for you? 9 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. IST. Sorry, a.m. IST. For me in Japan, it will be like 12:30 p.m. afternoon. For me. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. for me. For you guys, it will be morning tomorrow, 9 to 10:30. Is it fine? So once we complete tomorrow's morning session, evening session, I will discuss at the end of the day. After completing the first session, right, tomorrow morning, evening session, I will tell you when we will come. Most probably, I will call you at 6 p.m. IST only. For you, 6 p.m. It will be for me. It will be what is it? 6 means 7, 8, 9, 9:30 p.m. For me, it will be 9:30 p.m. Okay. Thank you, guys. That's all. Tomorrow at sharp 9 a.m. IST, we will meet tomorrow. Is it fine? Okay. Any questions? Final question so far? So guys, I told you now clearly that you do the mistake now only. You do the practice, you learn it, you do the mistake, you rectify that mistake now only, because whatever you do the mistakes, it is one step learning step. And this learning step will greatly help you at the project when you're working in the organization. Take it from me, take it from my word that today you practice the same thing, what you practice everything guys, the same thing will be applied in the real time when you work on it. Whatever you practice, it is not a false, it is real only. But what happened here, you're doing some mistakes, here you're learning something. There what happened, you should not allow anyone to point a finger on you, saying that this fellow doesn't know, this fellow even doesn't know this basic thing. They should not talk about your knowledge, right? People see, people cannot assess, people cannot uh, target on anybody character actually. Some people are there who will try to talk about the characters, but usually what happen, they will not discuss about your character, they will discuss about your knowledge. So if you're not able to do something, they will not say, hey, Rajesh is like this. Like, no, Rajesh experience is not good. Maybe he has not worked on it. He doesn't know anything. Or maybe he might have shown some fake and he has entered into this company. This is what they will discuss on back of you. So don't do that actually, right? Because when you do a mistakes, do it now itself. Learn in a perfect way so that this learning will be helpful for you to work effectively or efficiently at your real-time project work in the organization. Some of you already working, you know all these things. I'm just telling you. Those who are new, those who are aspiring to get into DevOps, please learn now, do all the mistakes now only. Am I clear, sir? With this, I'm going to stop the recording.